So New Zealand and Samoa find themselves going head-to-head for the last game of the Oceania Sevens. Already we know that Samoa have qualified for the Olympics, so a massive congratulations to them. And now they'll be looking for one last win of their Oceania Sevens campaign. And a fun fact is they are yet to concede a single point throughout their first 5 matches. Could this game be the one that breaks the chain? But in this preview, we will be looking through at the previous fixtures for both of these sides, their key players to watch out for, and then also a prediction at the end of who we think will be walking away with the victory. Starting with the New Zealanders, they have had 5 matches of their Oceania Sevens campaign. Now, because they had already qualified for the Olympics, they found themselves in the international section of the draw alongside the Oceania Barbarians, Australia, Fiji, and also Niue. So their first game was up against the Oceania Barbarians. They did win at 56 points to 0. A very comfortable win. New Zealand building a lot of momentum at the start of the Oceania Sevens, although it all went downhill in that second game. The lone loss New Zealand have had up till this point, up against the Fijians, 12 points to 5. They just weren't firing in that game. Fiji were the more clinical team, which is actually a very similar way to how the last game between New Zealand and Fiji went. But New Zealand in this one, they just weren't quite able to get the job done. Their third game up against Niue was 56 points to 0, and then they had their close fixture up against the Australians. Could have gone either way, but New Zealand winning it by the 4 points, winning 14 points to 10. And then their most recent game, it was up against Fiji to determine who would be taking on the winner of Samoa Papua New Guinea. New Zealand winning it 24 points to 17, conceding a couple tries along the way. We saw a bit of a lead change, but in the end, New Zealand's second half is what really set them apart from this Fiji side. So New Zealand make their way forward. For Samoa, they started their Sevens campaign with a win over Tuvalu, 36 points to 0. Their game up against the Solomon Islands, 50 points to 0, 52 points to 0 up against American Samoa, and then 46 points to 0 over the Cook Islands, scoring a total of almost 200 points throughout their first 4 matches. They didn't concede a single point, and that is how it stayed in their Olympic final game up against Papua New Guinea. They managed to win it 24 points to 0. Now, there were a lot of handling errors from both sides, but Samoa seemed to take their chances that little bit better, scoring 4 times compared to Papua New Guinea, who could not get a try on the board. So these two sides, we saw them meet more recently, that being Samoa and New Zealand. I believe the last time they played was London Sevens, and Samoa actually won that game, 24 points to 19. So the chance of this game being close does seem to be extremely high. But the key players for these two sides, for New Zealand, when looking through at that game up against the Fijians, there was one man that stood out that little bit more than anyone else, that being Cody Vai. Managed to get himself the hat trick. Now, a bit of a concern for New Zealanders, they may not have Dylan Collier for this next matchup. Did seem to pick up an injury, so he will not be available, but we saw a lot more of Curry in that last game. So they've still got those experienced heads out there on the field alongside the young guys like Moses Leo, like Cody Vai, who both bring a real impact for Samoa. They'll be looking at Vavasa Afasua, their captain, hoping that he will have a phenomenal game. Va'a Pilo Maliko, Motu Opitai. The list could go on for Samoa, but a lot of those guys who have already been on the Seven Circuit, who have already played New Zealand, they will have to step up. They will have to play a massive part in how the Samoans go for this game. But now we are up to that stage of giving our prediction of who we think will get themselves the victory. Now, for me, this is a hard game to predict. Normally, the games between Samoa and New Zealand are only split by less than 7 points. This game, I don't think, will be any different. It's just more of the question of how many tries will this Samoan defense concede, even though they haven't conceded any up till this point, but they haven't quite faced an opposition the caliber of New Zealand up till this stage in the Oceania Sevens. I'm going to say the score will be 17 points to 19 in favour of New Zealand. Now, normally, when I back New Zealand up against Samoa, they end up losing. So that could be a sign of things to come, perhaps. We will have to wait and see if the prediction is correct. But do let me know your score predictions in the comments down below. But I am going 19-17 in favour of New Zealand. Let's see if we do get it correct. But thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, Be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We will be live on the channel doing the commentary all throughout the matchup. So be sure to check that out as well. And I will see you all for the next one.